Hey guys, what's up? So today we're going to be looking at arithmetic and geometric sequences, okay? And the first one I'm going to look at is arithmetic sequences, okay? So we're going to look at arithmetic sequences first. And it says a sequence is a set of things that are usually in order, okay? So let me give you an example of that, okay? An example would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, right? The normal sequence, the counting number sequence, all right? The natural number sequence. And in an arithmetic sequence, the difference between one term and the next is a constant, okay? So obviously the next term in this sequence would be 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? And if you subtract one term from the next, which would be 2 minus 1, that would give you 1, okay? And that 1 is a constant. Obviously, it's increasing by 1, right? So there's actually a general formula for this, okay? And I'm going to actually define it for you. So the first term, okay, the first term in an arithmetic sequence is called A, okay? A is called the first term. All right, so A is the first term, and D is the common difference, okay? Okay, so D is the common difference. And why do we need this A and D? Because we're going to define a general formula here for any term in the sequence. And the formula is A, which is the first term, plus n minus 1 times D, which is the common difference, okay? So we can use this general formula to find any number in the sequence. So for example, let's say we want to find the fourth number in this same sequence, the 1, 2, 3, 4, increasing by one sequence. We just say t to the 4, and then we'd put the first term, which is 1 plus 4 minus 1 times the common difference, which is 1, right? Times 1. So we would end up with 1 plus 3 times 1, which is 4, right? So 4 is the fourth term in the sequence, okay? So not too bad, right? Let's look at some other examples, all right? All right, guys, so back to the general formula for an arithmetic sequence, and we're just going to look at another sequence. Let's look at 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on, right? So this is the sequence, all right? And let's say the question says find the 10th term in the sequence, okay? So in order to find the 10th term in the sequence, first thing we need to identify that this is A, right? That's the first term in the sequence. And to find the common difference D, all we have to do is subtract the first from the second. So it would be 6 minus 3, which would be 3. So the common difference is 3, so it's increasing by 3. Cool? So all we need to do now to find the 10th term in the sequence, all we have to do is use the general formula, which would be t to the 10 is equal to the first term, which is 3, plus 10, which is the number, which is the term that we're trying to find, 10 minus 1 times d, which is actually 3, and we're going to end up with 3 plus 9 times 3, okay? And 9 times 3 would actually give us 27, plus 3, which would be 30, okay? So let's just look. This is the fourth term, right? If we went on and said 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and then 30, 30 would be the 10th term, right? 12 is the fourth, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So 30 is the 10th term in the sequence, and that's why we need to use the formula. It's much better to use the formula in this case to find the term in the sequence. You understand what I mean? All right, so let's look at another example. All right, guys, so let's look at this example. Let's say we have 7, 14, 21, right? And the answer, the question, sorry, says find the 7th term in the sequence. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. Obviously, this is just increasing by 7, right? So this would be 28 and so on, right? But we need to find the 7th term in the sequence. So the first thing, we're gonna identify 7 as A, which is the first term. And then we're going to subtract to find D, which is a common difference. We're going to subtract 7 from 14, and we should get 7, right? So now we have A and we have D, so we can use the formula, right, which is t to the 7. We're trying to find the 7th term in the sequence, which would be t to the 7, t to the 7th, and we'd have the first term, which is 7 plus 7 minus 1 times D, which is 7, right? So we're going to end up with 7 plus 6 times 7, and 6 7s actually 42, okay? So it should be 7 plus 42, which is equal to 49, okay? Which is the 7th term in the sequence, okay? Great, wonderful. So now we can move on to geometric sequences. All right, guys, so now we're going to be looking at geometric sequences. And I'm going to give you an example of one. And it says in a geometric sequence, each term is found by multiplying the previous term by a constant. Okay, so let me give you an example of that. Let's say we have 1 here, then 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, and so on, right? So we can clearly see here that this is not like the previous arithmetic sequence. It starts at 1, increases to 2, so it doubles. Then this one doubles to 4. Then the 4 doubles to 8. Then the 8 doubles to 6, right? So we can see here that it's being multiplied by a constant. And in this case, the constant is 2, okay? So these are a little different, guys, all right? And to find terms in these sequences, we have to use a different formula, okay? So, all right, so the first thing we're going to look at is same thing. A is the first term, right? So A is the first term in the sequence, and then 2, we're going to call it R, is the common ratio, okay? Now this common ratio is found by simply dividing the second term by the first, okay? All right, so R is actually found by dividing the second term by the first term. So all you have to do is divide the second term by the first term in order to find R. So let's find R in this case. We're going to divide the second term, which is 2, and divide it by 1, which is the first term, and we get 2. So R is equal to 2, and this is the constant that it's increasing by, okay? So R is equal to 2. So these cases are a little different, okay? And let me give you an example. Let's say the question says, find the 10th term, right, in the sequence. We'd have to use a formula, okay? And the formula, the general formula, is actually equal to AR to the n minus 1, okay, to the power of n minus 1. And that's how we find it. So to find the 10th term, we'd have to say t to the 10 is equal to A, which is the first term, 1, multiplied by R, and R is 2, 2 to the 10 minus 1. So this would be actually equal to 2 to the 9, okay? Okay, so the 10th term would be equal to 512, okay, which is 2 to the 9. All right, and what if they said, what is the next term in the sequence? Okay, so what if they said, find the next term? If they said, find the next term, it would just be 16 multiplied by 2, okay, which is this term times the common difference, which would be 32, because each term is just, the next term would be the previous term multiplied by the common ratio, okay? All right, so let's do another example. All right, guys, so let's look at another example here. Let's say we have 2, 8, 32, and this is all they give us, right? And they ask us, find the next term in the series, and the next one would be find the sixth term in the series, right? Okay, so remember the general formula is equal to a times r to the n minus 1, okay, to that power, okay? So this n minus 1 is the power for r, all right? So to find the next term, the first thing we need to do is find r, okay? So r would be equal to the second term divided by the first, which is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So obviously this is being multiplied by a constant, which is 4. So 2 times 4 would give you 8, 4 times 8 would give you 32, and so on, right? So all we have to do to find the next term is say 32 times 4, which would be 128, right? Yeah, so easy. Then the next one now is find the sixth term. So for that one, we'll have to use the formula. So for this one, we'd say t to the 6 is equal to the first term, which is 2, multiplied by r, which is 4, right? 4 to the n minus 1, where n is 6, so it's 6 minus 1, okay? So we're going to end up with 2 times 4 to the 5, okay? All right, so 4 to the 5 is actually 1024. And then 1024 times 2 would give us 2048. All right, so that would be the answer for the sixth term. Okay. All right. And that's it, guys. So let's just clear the screen and show you the general formula. All right, guys. So the general formula is that formula up there. T to the n is equal to a to the r to the n minus 1 to that power, right? And r is equal to the second term divided by the first term. A is the first term, and r is known as the common ratio, okay? All right, guys. So I see you in the next lecture. We're actually finished sequences, and great. All right, guys. So that's it, and I'll see you in the next lecture. And remember to do your best, and God will do the rest.